Now, I'm very excited about this, Dave. We're going to talk about track Lucky 13, See the Constellation. This is a personal, special one for me. This, I think.
Let's get personal.
I'm gonna start right with this. I think this is my favorite song on Apollo 18.
Ever? Oh.
One of it's probably in my top like 5 They Might Be Giants songs. It's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Are you shocked?
No, it's a good song.
You know me.
It's also a good song.
Yeah, it's uncharacteristic for them. I'd say on a lot of levels.
It's pop heaven.
It's super sad and melancholy maybe more. This to me continues Flansburgh's relationship theme on the album and musically, I'd say. So I'll get to that. But on this album, you've got a lot of Flansburgh songs, except like Hall of Heads and maybe another one. Mm-hmm. They're all about a woman in his life,
yes,
and either
sure.
a woman leaving his life or a new woman
entering.
And See the Constellation is in between, where he's lonely
mm-hmm.
and there is no woman, there's no lady on his arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this song is, especially when I was 14, 15, 16. 17, 18, 19, when I was alone.
Keep counting.
And wanted a girlfriend and was in junior high school, college, and have never been on a date or any of that stuff. And while most of They Might Be Giant songs don't touch on this, when they would touch on that, it would be very special to me because I hadn't yet discovered a lot of new bands. Because most bands have songs about being lonely, but They Might Be Giants don't, not in a direct way like this. So See the Constellation immediately was very impactful for me as like, wow, literally a song to just like zone out to, and literally like the song says in the lyrics, like lie down and stare at the sky kind of song where you're just thinking about life and you're sad.
And Jordan's been well established to like lying down.
Yeah, it's funny because both songs do have this thing in common where you're lying and staring up and you're sad. And I don't know if that was on purpose or they just intuitively caught on to that. This is going to be a big discussion because there's a lot of reference-heavy things in this song and a lot to talk about.
All right, I'll just sit back and relax.
Well, no, Dave, I want to know.
Leave me alone.
What do you think about See the Constellation?
What are you doing here? I think it's a really fun song musically. Mm-hmm. I know the lyrics could be melancholy. I think this is a single,
Fuck yeah. Yeah. It's funny about the single thing because it's like they played this live occasionally. Whenever they played the song live, the audience went fucking nuts. And I've got like a good clip here from a recent show where they played it live.
It's got a lot of energy,
It was kind of a surprise when they played it live because it's like a later album track. It's not something but then when they do play it live, you just go, holy shit. It's like one of their best fucking songs. Yeah. And here's you could hear how into the crowd is. A portion of the audience is like, let's tone down the haze so Flansburgh can sing. It's very polite. They Might Be Giants fans are so they're so cognizant of what the band is going through on stage. You hear that crowd?
Kind of a punky vibe to it too with the haze, right?
Yeah. Though it's funny, if you want to be a super judgmental nerd, they're technically wrong about the haze. Let's get into it. The sample is not saying hey.
Right.
I believe the sample is saying one.
One. Yeah.
And let's talk about this.
Crazy.
This is going to be the crux of the discussion because I think in more ways than one, this song is very inspired by the Ramones and not about the Ramones, but it's dipping into that melancholy, punky Ramones thing. I don't even know if I said why we're talking about the Ramones, which is the sample.
Let's talk about the Ramones more, man.
The sample at the front, the sample throughout the song is Dee Dee Ramone, and Dee Dee Ramone would count off Ramones songs live, and a few of them are on album tracks. And
Yes.
so here's a silly joke on me, is I spent a long time trying to find the exact sample, and I did, but I didn't know that you could just Google it and that it was very easy to find that on a few websites.
Oh, you silly.
Where it says. But in case you want to know, the sample is from their song Commando from their album Leave Home from 1977. Let's listen to the intro and a little bit of Commando, which is kind of like an anti-war song. Vietnam, you heard that?
Yeah.
So I wasn't 100% sure this because I hadn't Googled it yet, even though I spent like 2 hours going through all the. So what I did is I went through every single Ramones song before 92, which is, they didn't make too much stuff after that. But went through every Ramones song. I took out the ones that had a countdown, and then I took out further ones that sounded like the Constellation one, and it ended up being about 5 songs. And then what I did then, and this is kind of crazy. I made my own version of See the Constellation, the first like 10, 15 seconds.
Did you match up the waveforms?
And I matched up the Dee Dee sample to see like, is this the one? And I'll play that for you, Dave. So I made this from Commando and from MIDI in my computer.
Okay.
So yeah, I made that just to be like, is this the one? And I was like, it is the one.
It's a good use of your time.
So it's a huge topic to talk about the Ramones, and I have a lot of clips.
They're pretty
and stuff.
famous.
Yeah. So me and Dave are both from like kind of the Forest Hills area of Queens. That
Ramones grew up a block from here.
Yeah, exactly. The Ramones went to my high school, and at the time when I was in high school, no one gave a flying fuck. And I even wrote, and I might have said this before on the show.
I think you did.
I wrote an article in my school newspaper about how everyone had bad musical taste and how no one even cared that the Ramones
sure that made you
went
popular.
there. Yeah, well, no one read the paper.
No one could read.
But now outside of our high school, the street is renamed
Joey Ramone's Way?
Ramones. No, Joey Ramone Way.
What did I say?
Joey Ramone's Way, which grammar is correct, but it's not usually what people do for street names. So yeah, they renamed it Joey Ramone Way, and there's a big mural of the Ramones a block from where we live, or a few blocks from where we live. It's a really cool mural. Maybe I'll post it on our Twitter @Don'tLet'sPod. And then recently, in the past few years, the Queens Museum of Art, which is right by the 64 World's Fair site, to tie it to TMBG, they did a big Ramones
yes, I saw it. It was
thing,
fantastic.
and me and Dave both saw it separately because I have a restraining order against Dave. But it was a great exhibit with a lot of memorabilia and flyers and TVs playing stuff and paintings and all about the Ramones.
Yeah.
And me and Dave saw the documentary together too about End of the Century about the Ramones.
Sad documentary.
Really depressing and harsh, brutal. But it's sort of like, it kind of has to be, because the Ramones are one of those bands where they're kind of brutal lyrics and there's a lot of humor too. But there's a lot of real sadness, and that to me is why they're like an inspiration for this song, I think.
Well, they're also like the perfect example of like implosion in a band too. Like, got too famous, didn't want to be, didn't get along with each other, didn't know how to do anything else but be in a band.
Yes.
There's a lot going there. A lot of pathos.
So I want to talk more about the Ramones' like influence on They Might Be Giants.
Well, you came to the right place. It's your podcast.
My bedroom, yeah.
Growing up in New York, were the Ramones like gods to you guys?
Well, we grew up outside of Boston, actually, but
why did I think you were from New York?
The band started in Brooklyn. We started doing our shows in the
I
early 80s.
was born in New York, but
I was born in Boston.
But they just started right after I left, and they were done being a local band in New York right when we got back to New York.
So it was kind of a Ramones free zone. But I mean, they were a big part of our teen year. I mean, they were definitely like. It was interesting because they wore this uniform, but it was like a street clothes uniform. It was sort of like, there's something about them. I mean, when we were earlier in our teens, like glitter rock kind of made it impossible to think of yourself as somebody who could be in a band, Like there's something about Gary Glitter that's kind of untouchable, or maybe you just don't want to touch it. But, I think the Ramones, I mean, we liked, David Bowie and all these other bands, but there's something officially rock starish about them. So when like the whole punk thing came along, it seemed more accessible to just start your own kind of band.
Right.
And the Ramones, I don't know, there's a different thing, it was a different kind of...
Not everyone can wear those glitter clothes.
No.
But everyone can dress like a Ramone. And
Exactly.
it's like a timeless look that you could wear today and still be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this isn't just for They Might Be Giants. I think for a lot of people, the Ramones made people feel like, oh, I could jam with my friends and do music.
That's what punk did.
Yeah, that's like the punk thing. And the Ramones are like on the start of that, I believe.
Yeah, play a couple chords and, talk about your feelings or
it's
talk
funny.
honestly, and you could be a musician.
Yeah, though it's funny, it almost sounds like dismissive when people say that. Oh, they're just playing some like simple chords, but like the songs are good, like the melodies are great. And there is this, and I have like most Ramones albums like on my iPod, and I listen, songs come up a lot, and it's like there are some where it's like, oh, it's kind of the same melody as that other song, but a lot of them are not like that. A lot of them are just great original, and they're super catchy. I remember very vividly when we saw the documentary, one part sticks out in my mind, which is some music expert or whatever was talking about them, and they basically, maybe one of their producers or something, but he was just like, he's like, oh, I always thought they were basically the Beach Boys. And I was like...
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, they were hugely influenced by them.
Yeah.
Just that obsession with melody and catchiness.
Yeah, there's not one Ramone song that isn't catchy.
Right.
And that's something that I strive for too. Like I've written songs, like I have one song that Dave played on Woke Up Dark, and there's a part where the vocals do one note where it's just like da 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 da, da, and I've always been self-conscious, like, there's no melody there. Is that bad? And and I've grown to like it, but I'm obsessed with like there's got to be a melody. Every part of the song has to be melodic.
Well, they really liked pop.
Yeah,
they just didn't, I guess, have enough attitude or energy to it.
I mean, if you wanted to be super blunt about it, you just be like, these are a bunch of guys who listened to Frank Zappa, and then punk rock happened.
Well, and I suppose the other thing is we were listening to stuff against our will in high school, which probably eventually had some kind of influence.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're responding to things, and sometimes you're like responding against it.
Absolutely.
And I think like what really spoke to us about the new wave moment was the concision, and if that's not a word, I would like to trademark it, of songwriting, the sort of the return, like the pub rock, the Nick Lowe, the Elvis Costello, and then in the Ramones, in a sense, not the sonics of the Ramones, but the idea of like just having something be a really hard-hitting blast of really graphic music.
Yeah, hard-hitting blast. And that to me is like, I think See the Constellation, it doesn't sound like a Ramones song mostly, but that really jumped out to me when we said hard-hitting blast. It is kind of like that, like, it's got that feel to it. And I think like the Ramones, the other feel to it is the melancholy lyrics. And there's two Ramones songs that jumped out to me that sort of made me think of See the Constellation. And
I'd like to hear this.
just in terms of the lyrics. So I Remember You, know that one? It's funny because even when you just see a Ramones title, like the melody like pops in, like, I remember you, it's a song about lying down and thinking about a girl, which to me is what See the Constellation is about.
Right.
The melancholy idea of lying down, thinking about a girl. A lot of like Smith songs are about
Was the
lying
other one,
down.
I Want to Be Your Boyfriend?
No, it's I Want to Be a Good Boy.
Oh.
So let's listen to I Want to Be a Good Boy, which to me evokes See the Constellation because it's kind of about wanting to leave your town, which I also am going to tie to another song. Because I Want to Be a Good Boy, which I just is a funny title. But it's also weirdly sad. It's like infantilizing yourself, and like you're not mature yet. It's weird. He just says, I want to run away from home. I want to be on my own. That's basically all the lyrics. And See the Constellation is about like, I moved from my town and I don't know where I should be and blah, blah, blah. Let's check that out a little bit. Yeah, I realize we're only in the first 3 seconds of this of See the Constellation. I told you it's going to be a big one. The Ramones and They Might Be Giants, like there's a long history of them kind of referencing the Ramones. They covered the Ramones a bunch of times.
20, 24
There's a clip I have from when they're actually opening for Elvis Costello, and they thank the Ramones.
We want to dedicate this next song to the Ramones, who just played their last gig in New York City on Saturday. We're doing a show with them in St. Louis. Feel free to hitchhike a ride out. The song is called Why Does the Sun Shine?
So it's funny with Why Does the Sun Shine? We're obviously going to talk about that in another episode, but I never thought of that being like a Ramones version of that song. But the fact that he dedicated that song to them
kind of works.
Is interesting. And the drum intro and everything, it is kind of like a Ramones
A lot of
song.
downstrokes.
Yeah. And yeah, it's funny because when I first saw that They Might Be Giants talk about the Ramones all the time, and I think I was a little like snobby because I was like, oh, TMBG lyrics are they're so clever, and I was like, oh, Ramones lyrics are so simple. Like it's just saying like I want to lie down, I want to
sniff some glue.
Yeah,
they don't want to do a lot of things, so they want to, they want to, and they don't want to do a lot of things.
Well, we've talked about because the Ramones, the Queen's feeling of the Ramones, is super.
What are you talking about? Queen's feeling.
Because a lot of their songs are about being bored, right? And I remember you talking about this when we saw the documentary or some other time. But there's so many of their songs have this, and again, it's with ties to See the Constellation, just being like, I don't really like where I live.
Sure.
There are better things out there, but I'm stuck here. Which is a classic punk thing.
Sure.
I mean, there's a lot. There was a YouTube video I watched that was fun about why is every punk song about leaving your town? And I think that's why See the Constellation is kind of in that genre. And it's funny because the opening riff also references, according to Flansburgh, though I couldn't find the source, but I found people talking about this. Seth Flansburgh said this, references Pleasant Valley Sunday by the Monkees, which is a great song. So we could also talk about Pleasant Valley Sunday a bit, and this comes back later too. But so let's listen to the opening of Pleasant Valley Sunday, because Flansburgh said that the guitar riff for See the Constellation, which we all know and love, is I think he called it a ripoff of Pleasant Valley Sunday. Again, I couldn't find the source. I looked for a long time, but I did find people on a news group saying Flansburgh said this recently. So anyway.
My band name's about being born in Queens.
Yeah, exactly. Dead on a Friday.
Just wanted to say that.
No, yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, I think Dead on a Friday, Dave's band, and the Ramones also have a lot in common.
I'm 6'7".
Yeah. Okay, so this is the opening to Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Group down the street is trying hard to learn their song. Serenade the weekend squire who just came out to mow his lawn.
So there's a lot of reference going on because it's not just the guitar riff, but it's the way they're like, you know, like it's got this vibe of like, oh, a rock song is starting and the rest of the band is gearing in, right, getting ready. And then not just that, but the lyrical content of Pleasant Valley Sunday also ties with See the Constellation, because Pleasant Valley Sunday is about hating your boring suburban town where everyone's just watching TV and they're not striving for anything creative.
Sounds good to me.
Or
creature comfort goes. They only know my soul. Make it hard for me to see. My thoughts all seem to stray to places far away. I need a change of scenery.
So Pleasant Valley Sunday has a similar thematic thing to See the Constellation, which is also kind of when he says move. Honestly, it's just really just one line when he says move from my town, you know, and the city lights getting in his way, which I sort of see as an idea of like it's stifling, right? It's stifling his creativity, his goals, his dreams. And Pleasant Valley Sunday is right on top of that. And the fact that the first line of Pleasant Valley Sunday is your local rock group down the street, which could be the Ramones in another universe, is trying hard to learn a song, blah, 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 which I don't see as a bad thing, really. It seems fun, like a fun place to live. But so Flansburgh is doing, it kind of reminds you of Twisting, where he's mixing all these bands that he loves and genres and songs into kind of a tapestry about heartbreak.
Ooh.
So it is kind of like a sequel to Twisting in a way, right? Or a prequel.
I'll buy it.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying. So Flansburgh is blending all these things together. But I think the difference here, and even maybe more so than Twisting, the reason why it hits me is that it's not just a clever thing, which is something they do all the time. It's not just be like, oh, look how we're messing with this old song. Actually, Turn Around does that quite a bit. It's all for an emotional thing, and it's all for a deep, like Flansburgh has this deep love of these bands. You know, he loves the Monkees, he loves the Ramones. They're hugely inspirational. So it's not just him cleverly referencing. It's all part of the sadness of the song and the deep feeling in the song, which is why I See the Constellation is probably my favorite on the album, because there's a lot of feeling there, which is weird because it's like if I want songs with feeling, why do I love They Might Be Giants so much? It's like if I'm singling out the songs that aren't typical for them as my favorites, but I don't know. Is that weird?
I think feeling is where you find it.
Let's talk about the first line of the song, because Flansburgh has actually discussed this on the Tumblr.
Okay.
So people thought it was a Warren Zevon reference because he has a song that also begins with "Laying Your Head on the Railroad Tracks." But Flansburgh says no. That's why I'm not gonna play a clip, because he said no. This is from the Tumblr. Let's cut to a clip of me saying what Flansburgh said, which is, he said, the railroad track line was actually directly inspired by an imaginative promotional photo of another Elektra artist, and it bothers me I can't recall the name. In the photo, smiling, she is blissfully resting across a pair of railroad tracks, and the contrary elements of the image really spoke to me. How relaxing can that kind of rest be unless you've given up on everything else? Won't there be a train coming sometime? When?
That's a good point.
Another big time waster on my part. I spent a long time trying to find that photo. Oh my God.
Did you find it?
I did not find it. I did not find the artist who did it. I went through every Elektra artist, a female Elektra artist from that time. And I just Google image searched and tried to find interviews and things that would have a publicity photo. And I was like, oh, is it Bjork? There's a lot of options. So I think that's an interesting inspiration. And again, by the way, just thinking of this now, it's another inspiration from a band, from another musician, right? So this song is just all this musical inspiration. So let's talk, Dave.
Let's talk.
Maybe you should take over for a bit.
Nah, you're doing fine.
Let's talk about the first.
I got my coffee here. I'm good.
First verse, the chorus. What do you think of these lyrics? What do you think of this song, the sound, everything?
By the way, one thing I noticed when I was looking at the lyrics, stare at the sky all painted up. Yeah,
interesting turn of phrase.
Yeah, isn't that like what you say for a lady when she's wearing makeup?
Yeah,
all painted up.
He's this song. He personifies the sky in more ways than one. Well, so he sees
a lovely lady.
He sees the sky as a guy, which describes how you're feeling. But he seems to be kind of referencing it as a woman here, which is very interesting too.
Sexy.
Yeah, that's why I've never thought of that. Yeah, I just saw all painted up as just how he's describing it as like in a general sense, like, oh, it's
colorful.
It's a color. Yeah.
No, I just thought of that today. It's like, because that's a very specific thing to say.
Yeah, look, I don't think these are. These aren't the typical complex TMBG lyrics, but they're still damn good, and there is that layer of emotion and sadness is what I really respond to.
Paint a picture.
Yeah.
All painted up.
So yeah, your train is gone, won't be coming back is just like, that's like a country lyric.
Yeah,
right? It's
totally.
Like he's really diving into these. I don't want to say cliches, but it kind of is in a way. Like laying your head down and looking at the sky is a cliche.
The train's always sad.
Yeah, trains are not really a good thing. It's like the Smiths song, when a train goes by, it's such a sad sound. It's like, why is it sad? It's just because it reminds you of either that you can't leave or that you left somewhere. Or
trains are sad. Boats are goofy.
Yeah. Planes are scary.
And,
cars are neutral.
Yeah. Cars are a necessity.
Yeah. That's right.
Chaotic good.
Yeah. And go-karts are fun.
Well, we broke it all down.
So then the chorus, and by the way, just in a soundscape level, just the guitars, everything is just so
it's
awesome.
Good production.
Won't be coming back. See the constellation right across the sky. No cigar, no lady on his arm. Just a guy made of dots and lines. Just a guy made of dots and lines.
See See the constellation ride across the sky. It's interesting too. I never even
like
thought
a chariot.
about that. Yeah,
chariot of the gods.
Ride. I guess the idea that it's riding could be what that could be implying is that he's moving. That the viewer, the POV guy, is maybe he got hit by the train and he's being dragged. He's being dragged across the tracks. No cigar. This is the key line for me, and I'm sure you recognize it too.
Of course.
No cigar.
What am I, a moron?
No cigar, no lady on his arm, just a guy made of dots and lines.
That's all there is.
I just love that. I love that line. If you want to know what speaks to my heart, what like really, because I'm like, I don't know, not to make it too much about me, but I'm like, I'm a guy just made of dots and lines.
Yeah.
I've always felt, it's just that feeling of like, no one sees me. It's kind of like feeling invisible or almost feeling like you're not whole yet, right? Like you're these kind of disconnected parts. You're unfulfilled. You don't feel whole, right? And
so do you think that line is about him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Oh, you think he's thinking about a friend of his?
Well, it could be his POV because he's saying "See the constellation." Right?
Oh. Well, I was going to get into this a bit later, but to me, there's a theme in the song of the sky mirroring. It's like when you look in a pond, like a reflective pool.
Yeah.
And so to me, there's a kind of undercurrent in the song of like, I'm looking at a giant mirror. I'm looking back at myself and
the face of God.
Yeah, and it ties into what we were saying about the God thing, which is like God is him, the world is him. When you look at something, you're looking at yourself, kind of thing. Especially this self-centered generation. You know what I'm talking about?
I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
For the listeners,
I will say about the production of the song, I do love it, and I think it's fantastic. But this is one of those songs that I was hinting at a few episodes ago where I'm like, I think with a real band, it would have blown it out of the water. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no reason in my mind that these should be fake drums.
Yeah, it's a rock
bass.
song.
It's just a rock song. And I think one of the reasons the live versions are so euphoric is because it's like, holy shit, it's a fucking rock song now. I'll say again, I love how it sounds. I think it's great. And I love the drum. I love the drum pattern too. And I tried to replicate that in my MIDI thing. But
I mean, the drums do sound pretty natural.
They're pretty damn good. Yeah, it's pretty good. But it just to have that extra layer of soul, like it's a person. Yeah. I do think this is a good case for why John Henry had to happen.
I agree.
It's funny because it's a great rock song, but one of the highlights is Linnell's accordion, which is like interesting choice.
I guess not traditionally rock oriented.
Yeah, he's using the accordion in kind of almost like a Beatlesy, like, oh, there's a weird instrument in this rock song, but it like works really well, you know? He's doing this counter melody like this ding, 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 ding. And again, the reason I was trying to say that the music is melancholy is because it has these strange, someone who's more adept at music theory could probably elucidate what I'm saying, but
whoa.
But
stay in your lane.
But for me, there's something about the chord changes to the song and the notes that the other instruments are playing. There's a space. It actually sounds spacey and nighttimey. Like this, the way the song is produced and the chords and stuff, and what Linnell's doing on accordion, it's got this psychedelic nighttime sad feel. It does. And I don't know if other people hear the way I hear, but to me, this song has always been like one of those perfect matches of lyrics and music. Like one of the best They Might Be Giants have ever done, I think.
High praise.
2 years ago, moved from my town. I was looking up past the city lights, but the city lights got in my way. See the constellation right across the sky. No cigar.
I really think this is a really special song. It's really, it's like just one of those, like it nails, for me, it nails everything. Except this next part, which sucks. Yeah, you've also got Linnell's harmonies, which is like a great harmony, go under Flansburgh. And I also think having it be Linnell and not like a double Flansburgh was like, well, there might be double Flansburgh also, but I think it's also like really important. Like it gives the band feel, it gives the gang feel, like there were a bunch of guys doing this song together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we were talking about what determines whether it's going to be a distinct voice or a doubled voice.
Yeah, I think there's a subtle message in the song that determines that. And for me, like Dinner Bell, you've got a lot of Linnell's because I think that song is about being scatterbrained and having like all these desires and conflicts in your head, But then for this song, I think it's got the band feel. It's about rock. It's about rock music. So you've got to have.
We're the Ramones.
Yeah, and it's also pretty. It's almost stripped down. Like it could almost be a 4-piece doing it. There are some guitar layers, but it's kind of got that feel of like, okay, Linnell's there on accordion, and he's got a vocal mic, and I'm playing guitar and singing stuff, right?
Yeah. Do you think that No Cigar is sort of a pun too on the saying?
I've never thought about that, but you're totally right. Because the saying is close but no cigar, which means like you almost had it and you didn't get it, right? Or that like you're almost good enough, but then you're not good enough at a thing.
But the cigar also represents like
success,
right?
Yeah,
like a fat cat, like feeling like a big shot,
and like kind of masculine confidence, like
well, it's a penis, so it's phallic.
Well, as George Carlin famously said. I'll say it, I guess.
You can say it.
Was it a cigar is nothing but a big, what was it?
A big brown dick.
Yeah, a cigar is nothing but a big brown dick. Yeah, I think about that a lot, actually.
Every day when I wake up and before I go to bed.
It's funny because I said, these lyrics aren't as complicated, but then
maybe
look at
are.
us now.
We've come so far.
Though the second verse is very Ramones-like to me.
Right.
2 years ago, moved from my town. I was looking up past the city lights, but the city lights got in my way. And it's funny, he can't see the constellation in the city. My girlfriend complains about this all the time because she loves looking at the stars.
I don't see the appeal, but okay.
Yeah, it is weird. I'm sure you've had the experience, like when you're outside the city and you're like, holy shit, look at the sky. It's full of a bunch of shit.
I mean, I got over it real quick, but sure.
No, I'm always blown away by it. But I also like the idea that doing that also makes you feel more lonely and more like a tiny speck in the universe.
That's all we are.
Yeah.
Infinitesimal.
Not me.
You're a big speck.
I'm a big shot.
Speck. But doesn't that give you comfort too, knowing you're a speck? It's just like, it doesn't, it's out of my hands.
You could go very much either way. It's also terrifying. Sometimes because it's almost like an afraid of heights thing. Sometimes I'll look at the stars and I'll get this weird vertigo feel of like,
I get the same thing, bro.
Yeah, really?
I have like almost a fear. It's not agoraphobia because I think that's just like being outside with like the world.
Yeah.
But like vast stretches of something.
Yes.
There's a term for it. It's like you can't take it. Your brain can't take it in all at
You're
once.
a pussy.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I couldn't remember.
Anyway, so then we've got the last verse, which I love. Again, I love that all the guitars drop out. It's really atmospheric. They Might Be Giants. They don't do atmosphere a lot, and but they can do it really well. And this is like the prime song for that.
I found my mind on the ground below. I was looking down, it was looking right. I was in the sky, all dressed in black.
I found my mind on the ground below. So this to me is like he's in the sky looking down. Right, like to me, the song he's like ping ponging up and down. Like I'm the guy on the ground, I'm the guy in the sky. Now I'm the guy on the ground again. You know what I mean? I found my mind on the ground below. I was looking down. That's why I'm saying it was looking back. And then he goes back to the sky again. I was in the sky, all dressed in black. This to me is like a really interesting verse. He's like going up and down. And again, it's that reflective pool idea where he's looking at himself in the sky, and then the sky version, who's maybe, I don't know. Then the sky version is looking down at him, and they're both kind of, they're thinking
just
about
looking at each other.
They're just looking at each other. It's a staring contest.
Yeah.
It's awkward. It's kind of like me and Dave here. We'll do that. Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I assumed you thought all dressed in black is reminiscent of a funeral.
No, I never think that at all.
Or Johnny Cash. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of the sky, the dotted lines guy in the sky who's in all black.
Yeah.
But I like that too. Dressing in black could be a somber occasion.
Yeah.
It could be a wedding.
True. I mean, it could, because the sky could be blue, could be purple, could be red.
That's true.
I mean, if you want to get into an argument.
Or the Ramones dressed in black leather jackets. You think oh shit.
That sounds smarter, sure.
Let's talk about the end section of the song, which is, and we're going to do a double clip here, back to Pleasant Valley.
The rare double clip.
Back to Pleasant Valley Sunday. So we're going to play a clip of later, because this is clearly a reference to the way Pleasant Valley Sunday ends, which is that it kind of And by the way, it's worth mentioning the Monkees are as a concept playing off of the Beatles, but
I didn't know that.
in doing so, they also innovated themselves,
right.
because if you're copying the most innovative band at the time, you're gonna
you get pretty smart.
You have to do that, right? So let's play the end of Pleasant Valley Sunday, which is a huge influence for this song, and I'll play it for Dave.
That's me.
Who is musically ignorant. So yeah, that song ends where the reverb takes over. Kind of sounds like almost like you're in a train going in a tunnel, or it's on the song.
You know what those mean?
You're leaving the song behind you. I want to just give credit though. Pleasant Valley Sunday, it is performed by the Monkees, but it's written, of course, by Jerry Goffin and Carole King, who wrote tons of songs. So the Monkees did write a lot of great songs themselves. I want to put that out
Daydream Believer?
Not that one.
Oh.
Just keep naming. Not that one. Not that one. So the end is referencing Pleasant Valley Sunday in a sense. There's a lot going on in this end section, which is going to be a whole other to do.
Yeah, there's another song.
Well, first of all, so I also think that, can you hear what I see in the sky? I think that is referencing the way they're going, like, Pleasant Valley Sun. Like, it really sounds like similar to me, the quality of the vocals there. This is a stupid note, but the way the Dee Dee Ramone sounds at the end, it always sounds like Jack Black to me. Like, Jack Black, Jack Black, Jack Black.
You're right. That was a stupid note.
Probably wasn't the point there. Oh, so the idea of can you hear what I see in the sky? I don't know if you had a thought about that. Obviously, It sounds just kind of like, silly psychedelic lyrics.
Right.
Where that's
what I thought.
But to me, I always kind of thought it was almost backing. It was almost going back to that musical inspiration, because he's hearing. Can you hear what I see in the sky? It's almost like thinking about the rock bands, and he's looking at the sky, and it's just putting it back to like what you hear. To me is important. It is kind of like a little funny psychedelic, like John Lennon-y line. But I also think like tying things at the end of the song back to like listening. The idea of listening is important. And then you're being asked to listen really hard, because then there's all this secret weird little things going on in the background, which we can talk about now. Thank you.
I never heard the other song, by the way.
Okay, well, let's...
Ever.
Have you still, or no?
No, now I do.
Okay.
Because I was listening, finally.
Well, let's talk about this. So as See the Constellation is ending, and I hate to see it end, but I love to watch it go.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
Great ass!
The waveform of Dave blew up the computer.
I tried to back away from the mic.
Anyway, to go back to the song. So at the end of See the Constellation, as it's fading out, a little ditty creeps in at the very end.
You say a little dee-dee?
Yeah. So first this is what I'm gonna do. We've got a lot of things to play here. First, I'm gonna play the way that the song actually ends, and let's listen to the end of the song. So it's super quiet. And I remember I still remember discovering that on my own. I was like, oh my God. But here's what I did. I made it loud and proud, so you could hear what it sounds like. And there's even some little details I never noticed that's just crazy. So and we'll get into
this is an exclusive, folks.
Yeah, we'll get what into this song is. Anyone can really do this, but I took a little time to do this. So here is it unfaded out. Okay?
They could do it, but should they do it?
So you hear a little, what this song is, it's called
Side 2.
Yeah, it's fans called it Side 2, and it was a song on Dial-A-Song for a while. But then Flansburgh recently revealed that the song is called I Miss Side 2, which is interesting that it was written back in 92 or early 90s, because now we do miss Side 2 because there's no albums anymore. But there was at the time, maybe because CDs were coming out. Was that in the early 90s CDs started to happen, right?
Yeah, even before, 92, I think.
80s. So that might be about CDs.
Well, we're getting very close to the end of Side 1 now. You can feel the tension mounting. In fact, in tribute to the fact that there aren't sides anymore on records, we're going to just segue right on to Side 2 after the end of Side 1. Something you can't do at home with your long playing record, but which you can pay money to see us do live.
But like the cassette, there is no lyric sheet.
Now, of course, you could write that song about the internet and Spotify. So it's called I Miss Side 2. And what Flansburgh said, he said, I think this was on Facebook. Someone randomly asked him on Facebook, and he said, I'm guessing it's an unfinished track from that project, I mean Apollo 18, called I Miss Side 2 that had already been scrubbed by the time the track was being mixed, and it was just folded in for psychedelic texture. But just listening to it now, it is so timidly placed, it almost sounds like an accident. I don't think it's an accident.
I agree that it is timid. It's very low.
Yeah, but it's also like it adds a lot because it's that song. It makes sense because it's a psychedelic ending. Like
sure.
It's so let's listen to Side 2. Let's listen to the actual song. This will almost be like a song segment within the segment because we're gonna
Inception.
We're gonna yeah, because it sucks. No, we're gonna
hot take.
We're gonna talk about Side 2, and here it is on Dial-A-Song first.
Hello everybody, this is John of the MIP. Thank you for calling our Dial-A-Song service. Today's song is an instrumental. It's entitled Side 2. It has no words and features only instruments. We hope you like it. Hope it sounds good over your phone. Thank you for calling. Call back anytime.
Makes me think of a snake charmer.
Me and Dave were saying off mic.
We had a little chat.
You should have been there, guys. It's really crazy. We both had never connected the two songs, even
stupidly.
Though when you're so hard on yourself, when you up the volume, when you unfade out, you hear the
plain as day. Yeah. Plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah. The beautiful nose.
Fucking nose on your fucking face.
What's interesting, though, is the Side 2 idea is something clearly rattling around in Flansburgh's head, because here is a clip from a early live show from that time. I believe this might be, this is from 1992. So check this out.
Okay.
And this is Flansburgh improvising a song called It's Side 2 on stage.
Cool.
I wonder if it's because he it's like they had just put this on Apollo 18 and he's like, I still like this idea.
Check it out, Side 2. Here it comes, Side 2. Check it out, Side
Dave was dancing to that.
I like it.
It's really fun, actually. Yeah, side 2, a lot going on with that idea, and I also like it is technically side 2 of Apollo 18.
Yeah,
it's really perfect, and also just the way. It seems like the perfect song to put at the end of a song and then starting a new song, because that's kind of what happens when you like on the cassette, when you switch the sides, it goes to the next side, like a song ends and then a new song begins.
And there's so many references to other bands and previous works of music.
Exactly. So we've got this song is full of
genius
cassettes and vinyls and rock bands, and it's really brilliant. I'm taking back what I said. It's super complex, super amazing, and it's got the feeling. So to me, this is a perfect song.
Headline: Jordan likes the song.
I love the song. This will be familiar to people who follow us on Twitter, but being that that's a small count,
yeah, I don't even.
I think more people will be interested to hear this from our own lips, our own juicy lips. We wondered...
Juicy lips, go on.
We wondered what the photo that Flansburgh described...
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, remember? We never talked about this on the show. There was a photograph of an Electra artist, a female artist, lying on train tracks, and that inspired the opening lyrics to See the Constellation. For $500, Dave. No. We found out from a gracious fan, Josh from Connecticut, is how he told me he'd like to be referred to.
So he says.
Yeah, that is what he said. I remember Dave at his wedding. It was like, do you take this? And he's like, so she says.
And I pointed at her like, this guy.
He sent us the photo that inspired John Flansburgh. And it was of Sarah Hickman, the Electra artist. She is a songwriter. She is a wonderful person. That picture is from the Sarah Hickman album called Equal Scary People. She even caught wind of this on her own Instagram and Facebook and reposted it and was all excited because she never knew. Dave, we're like bridging these things together for these people involved in these
God's work.
I noticed many people we interview have they're hearing a lot of
memories
things for the first time. Like, oh, is that what happened? But yeah, so Sarah Hickman had no idea she inspired See the Constellation.
Well, you're welcome.
She I think it maybe not literally, but she seemed thankful to us for bringing that to attention. And just as a little context, let's listen to a song from Sarah Hickman from that very album that the picture is from about a train.
All right.
And it'll all tie it together, and then we could get
on with our goddamn lives.
Just kidding. I'm very excited to play this. Sarah Hickman, this is called 500X, and in parentheses, the train song, which helped me out when I was looking for if she had songs about trains.
Okay.
Metal monster, dying dinosaur. I can hear your mighty stomach roar as you race slower down the line. In time we can burst the series.
You cannot get more of a train vibe in a song. There's a lot of train things going on. I would assume that might have inspired the photo. So that's a song that indirectly inspired See the Constellation, which is a song, as we said, is kind of about being inspired by all these other things of music and the Ramones and the Monkees and oh my God.
We did it again.